right, welcome back, everybody. We are on a Tuesday this week. I had some things come up on Sundays. Some people, some friends came down, or came up and down to see me for my birthday this weekend. So I was hanging out with them, and I had to get them all off to their respective transportations back to their abodes. So I had to do that on Sunday, and then the Chiefs played. So that's why.
Saying they came up and down makes it sound like you guys were doing some sort of illicit drugs or something like that.
No.
Bro, we came up and
we came up and then we came down.
If you know what I mean.
No, nothing like that.
Salute.
Salute. No. I had some people come up from the south and some people come down from a little farther north than where I'm at. So we hung out and had to get them sent off safely, and then the Chiefs played, and Chiefs are back. But anyway, so that's why we moved.
Don't say that, dude. Those are famous last words.
That's
ever
true.
say that.
That's true.
Don't ever say that. As a Texas fan that lost to Kansas football, I've had to watch Texas football lose to Kansas twice in my life now.
Oof.
Twice.
It feels bad for you, man.
Most people go a lifetime without ever having to watch Texas lose to Kansas playing
it's crazy
Division I football game.
It's insane, really. But anyways,
those who came before me went a lifetime without watching Texas lose to Kansas, and I've had to watch it twice. And I'm about sick of it. But
we
control
are
your controllables, I guess.
This is true. So we're here this week on Tuesday, running the old podcast. So the rundown for tonight is we're gonna talk a little bit of as always, a little bit of some COVID stuff, just briefly right here in the beginning, and then we're gonna move into some allegations that Dave Portnoy is facing right now and has rebutted, and that's a little bit of an interesting story. And then we're gonna move into the big topic this week, which is the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. There's a lot to talk about on that, but I also, we don't want to shorten our other talking points. So, without further ado, let's just hop right into it. Kind of start off on a lighthearted note about COVID. I saw recently that Austria, and I don't remember exactly where in Austria, but there's a brothel in Austria that has opened its doors to opened its doors and some other things to to some customers to get their COVID vaccination, and once you are vaccinated by the medical professionals that they have invited into their establishment, you are then gifted with from all accounts that I read, a free 30 minutes with a worker, I should say, of your choosing.
With a lady of the night.
With a lady of the night, you get a free 30-minute session with her for getting your vaccination. So, vaccination and free sex is now on the table in Austria, in an effort to boost the numbers of people getting vaccinated, which I find hilarious. And also kind of applaud them on their marketing for the vaccination. It's kind of a clever and comedic ploy to boost their vaccination numbers, at least in that respective city. I don't know if any other cities or anything else has followed suit, but it gave me a chuckle when I saw the video and did a little reading on it.
I don't really know what to say about this. I have a lot of thoughts.
Maybe get your vaccination, get your little reward, and then maybe they have an STD test on the backside waiting for you. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure the ladies of the night are tested. I don't know. I would assume that they would be.
Yeah, more than likely, I would assume.
Here's what I'm going to say. If you're looking for a vaccination and you want to take advantage as a young single man in an Austria residence, I mean, I'm not kink shaming.
I'm not going to shame you for it. Go and get your vaccine and get your reward.
Listen,
have your cake and eat it too, sir.
We are a sex positive podcast. Okay. Sex
true.
positive, I don't think that's necessarily how I would go about getting my vaccine.
I would not.
But at the same time, take advantage of the situation if you so choose. I don't fucking know what to say about this. Prostitutes are weird, man. Like, prostitution's weird. I think you should. I think if the United States legalized it, like sex workers, whatever, do your thing.
I mean,
I'm
secure the
not
bag however you
necessarily,
need to.
I'm in a committed relationship, so I'm not going to take advantage of that, whether that's in the United States or Austria. But if you're a young single Austrian resident that wants to take advantage of the situation, I'm not going to shame you for it. Live your life, do your thing.
I just thought it was it just gave me a chuckle when I saw it the other day that's how they're going about getting people to get vaccinated. And I was like, you know what? That is a clever marketing ploy for people that perhaps frequent those establishments. So,
big chuckles for sure.
Big chuckles, and good on them
big chuckles for sure.
using what they have at their disposal to get people to vaccinate. Speaking of vaccinations and COVID as well, Australia is just really just riding this roller coaster of things that they have going on down there. Right now, apparently, if you are vaccinated, you are free to roam the country to your heart's desire. But if you have elected not to get vaccinated or have yet not received your vaccination and been fully vaccinated, you are in the lookings of for another lockdown, or you are going to be restricted to your place of residence, and you are going to be not allowed to go and roam the countryside on your own free will. And to me, that's strange. I don't agree with that stance that they're taking. You're basically holding a percentage of your populace hostage, and denying them their rights as human beings to go out and live their lives. I feel like at this point, if the majority that's more of it's like a coercion tactic. It's completely opposite, I guess, of what Austria is doing, where they're in some way positively reinforcing you to get the vaccine, whereas in Australia they've gone completely the opposite direction and chosen to negatively coerce you into becoming vaccinated off the threat of you losing freedom
privilege
and privilege.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of that. I feel like at this point that the majority. I haven't done any looking at this, but I would hazard to say that the majority of Australia's populace is vaccinated. So at this point, I feel like they're reaching close to the point of herd immunity. Immunity, I put in quotations marks because we've talked about the vaccine and how it works and everything before. But herd immunity essentially, and it's I feel like it's unnecessary at this point. Oh, Ham, what's going on, Ham? Got you on the mobile for my rush hour drive home. Has good podcast friends. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening to us ramble on while you are on your drive home. But yeah, it's the wrong way to go about getting your population to get on board with getting vaccinated.
The interesting thing to me about the whole Australia thing is, so they've had a total of 191,623 cases, right? Of those people who have contracted it, 169,992 have been closed, so they've recovered it.
Mm-hmm.
So of those 191,623 people that have contracted it, they've had 1,898 deaths.
Okay.
So that puts them at 168,094 who have recovered.
Okay.
And so they currently have 21,631 active cases.
Right.
Of those 21,631 active cases, there's only 105 that are considered serious or critical. So of the cases that they have right now, only a half percentage of those people are in serious or critical condition. So it seems to me like, I don't want to say a publicity stunt, because I genuinely think that they're acting in good faith, if you will, or trying to contain it. But
Right.
the measures that they're taking don't meet the risk or the
They
significance
don't match
of
up
what's
to,
happening.
yeah, right. So you're trying to, so you've got what did you say, 21,000 cases out there that are unresolved right now.
Active
Yeah,
cases,
active
correct.
cases where they haven't recovered, they have COVID. They're hopefully on their way to a swift and healthy recovery. And you've looked at the rest of your populace that's not vaccinated and said, hey, because of this, all of you get to stay home now. And to me, that's it's excessive. It's excessive. Um, I get that, the point behind it is to not have any more active cases come up,
Correct.
and to let the ones that have it recover and everything, and and try not to spread it further, which understandable. Um, but at the same time, you have 100,000. You've had 100 and what, almost 200,000 cases out of a population of millions, and
That's
so
the
the
thing.
percentage on that is extremely low.
It,
Um,
it yeah.
so it just comes across as an excessive measure to not have a spike in cases when, like I said, more than likely, and I'm not fully researched up on how, what percentage of the population of Australia is vaccinated. Jamie, if you could look that up. Just kidding. We don't have a Jamie. Um,
Damn, maybe someday.
our Jamie is actually currently in naval officer school. But yeah, it's just, I would hazard to say that the majority of their population is vaccinated. Most countries out. I would also hazard to say that most countries outside of the United States kind of jumped on the vaccination bandwagon a lot quicker than we did here, and more people went and got their vaccines as opposed to here. So I don't feel like I'm too
Well,
far off base saying that the majority of their population is vaccinated.
you know why the majority are vaccinated? Because they were dragging children in, kicking and screaming,
Yeah,
and mandating the vaccine.
yeah,
So you can say what you want, which I think is complete bullshit. So the proposal that I would have is, say, it's come out recently. Whether this is true or not, I don't know. So full disclosure, Aaron Rodgers has claimed that he is allergic to one of the main ingredients of the COVID-19 vaccine,
right.
like hyperglycerol or something like that. I, I don't, I'm sure that's not correct.
But
There's some
whatever
active
ingredient
ingredient
it is, yeah.
on the CDC's website. It specifically says if you are allergic to any one of these ingredients, we urge you and recommend that you do not get the vaccine. Correct.
Right.
So let's say you're an Australian resident who is allergic to one of the active ingredients. So now you're faced with the choice of, okay, I either get a vaccine that will undoubtedly be harmful to me because I'm allergic to it,
Right.
or I can't leave my home. So let's take it a step further and say you're a 21-year-old male, or a female for that matter. Males, for whatever reason, tend to have better reaction and recovery rates to the COVID-19 actual virus,
Right.
right? So say you're a 29 or a 19, 21-year-old healthy individual, Australian resident who is allergic to this specific vaccine. And now the government is saying, hey, you don't have to get the vaccine if you don't want to, but at the same time, you can't leave your house.
Yeah.
So you're literally putting these residents in an extremely tough
Yeah,
position
they're in a
where
conundrum.
where you're requiring them to do something that will undoubtedly be harmful to their immune system, to their body, where if they just simply contracted the virus, chances are very, very high
They'll just fight it
that they're
off.
going to get through it.
Yeah.
And by the way, by getting said vaccine, you're not guaranteeing your neighbor or your coworker that you're not going to contract it and pass it along.
Right.
So this is solely in your best interest while you're making this decision. And I know not everybody makes this decision because of allergic reactions or whatever. Some people just watch fucking Fox News and InfoWars and think there's a microchip in there, whatever.
Yeah.
I know that most people don't make the decision based on this sole decision. But are we just supposed to cast out the people that are in this position
Yeah.
because it's quote unquote better for the general population, which is just simply not true?
Right.
So how is this
Yeah.
legal or
Yeah.
B justified? I
Right.
don't understand. I truly don't understand it.
No, and I don't get it either, and I don't know if there was much, thought process put into that. So, like we said with our example of people that are allergic to it, they either have to sit in their homes again and go through that lockdown again, which then they don't have any contact with the outside world and everything, which it's been proven through those lockdowns that there were spikes in depression and other mental health um, issues
Symptoms,
and
outcomes,
outcomes, yeah,
whatever.
that kind of stuff. Or they go and get a vaccine that they're allergic to and run the risk of having an adverse allergic reaction and end up in the hospital for trying to get treated for that as well. When the flip side, they become an otherwise healthy young adult or whoever, whose only issue is an allergy to what's in the vaccine, who by all for all intents and purposes could weather the storm of COVID-19 fairly decently and come out on the other side with antibodies.
Well, and to think that this is specific to Australia, which I would like to think, because I'm not an Australian resident. I mean, Godspeed. I hope for the best for all of them, right? But you're coming upon a mandate that has not quite been struck down yet. It doesn't look like it's going to carry through the Supreme Court, but at the same time, it's becoming a little bit of reality because I know friends in Texas who I've been talking to about this case with the whole January 4th. If you have more than 150 employees and all of those employees aren't vaccinated, you're going to be faced with fines to that particular company. So let's use me as an example, although I am vaccinated now. Let's just say I'm not vaccinated and I have the antibodies, right? And let's say I did have that allergy to that vaccination, right? Now my employer is going to be put between a rock and a hard place, viewing me as just solely a number. What kind of value do they bring to the company dollar-wise versus what kind of detraction are they going to bring to the company dollar-wise because we're going to have to face a fine?
Right.
I can't work from home every day. That's not my role. That's not my job. And it's not what I expect it to be. I need to be hands-on in the office, scanning, printing, files being brought to me. I mean, that's my job all day, every day, basically putting out fires. And I need to be on site to do that most effectively, which is what I signed up for. But at the same time, if my employer was going to be facing a fine for this, in a time where we've already seen literally historic numbers of people quitting their job, I believe it was September, was an all-time record high of people quitting their jobs. Because the shortage for employees is so low.
Right.
Inflation's at an all-time high. Our economy is already not in a great. You can look at the stock market and you can look at all that, and yeah, on paper it looks good, but
The
gas
reality
prices,
is yeah.
milk prices, food, beverage, everything is continuing to get more
Yeah,
expensive.
your dollar does not stretch as far as it used to.
It simply doesn't. And that is statistically based. You can look it up. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I listen to a lot of podcasts on this shit. And it's historically, inflation is at an all-time high. And by the way, if you ask the press secretary for the president, I can't think of her name right now. I should really know her name because I hear it literally every day, about prices of gas. Her position is, well, this is why we have a focus on clean energy moving forward and getting rid of the traditional fossil fuel usage, which
Wait, that's all
I
well
agree
and
with,
yeah, that's all well and good, but that doesn't help us in the now.
which is fine. But what am I supposed to do right now when I'm trying to fill up my gas tank?
Yeah, when I have a car that's not an electric vehicle or a hybrid or anything, and I literally have to put gas in my car to get to and
Clean,
from
clean,
work.
clean energy is fantastic. I think we can all agree that we want to move towards a cleaner environment. But what the fuck am I supposed to do right fucking now? When literally you can look at the price of bacon, the price of milk, the price
It's
of beverages, the
expensive.
price of everything is continuing to increase.
Right.
So what are we doing about it?
At this point, not much. We signed a brand new infrastructure bill, but that doesn't help us now.
Oh, the Build Back Better bill?
Yeah, yeah.
Don't even fucking get me started. I didn't even plan on talking about that tonight, brother, but
Yeah. It's
that's such a goddamn joke.
yeah, it's crazy. Ham had said a couple minutes ago, in regards to the allergy talk, about the vaccine, that anaphylaxis, if you get that, if that's one of your symptoms that you get from being allergic to whatever's in the vaccine, it's easy to recover from, but it can kill you. So you have that toss up. Like, I could go into anaphylactic shock, and I could use an EpiPen or whatever to get out of it. Um, but at the same time, EpiPens are super expensive nowadays, like super expensive. So people that I know and have heard about that have allergies are wildly on edge right now about their allergies, because they don't want to use their damn EpiPen, because then they got to replace that
Well,
thing, and they're like $600 a pop, and that's here. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but they're not cheap.
and I understand and I agree with that. And I won't say that anaphylactic anaphylactic shock is not what you're going to experience, but I think the side effects more relate to the long-term
Mm-hmm.
causes, what it's going to do to your body.
Yeah, because it's not like the rest of us that
Over
get it and can metabolize it and use it. Like, they've got to deal
no,
with the effects of whatever that is in there that they're allergic to until they can finally, somehow metabolize it.
it's more over the course of the next 6 to 8 months when your body is processing it, because once you have the vaccine, it's effective for 6 to 8 months,
Yep, and then now
which
they're talking
means
about boosters for it, like, which is standard for most vaccines. It happens.
correct, but that means that vaccine is going to live inside of your body for the next 6 to 8 months. So it's not just a like, hey, you're gonna feel like shit for a day, or maybe you use an EpiPen, which is fucking crazy. But it's more that your body is going to be living with this allergen and fighting this allergen for the next 6 to 8 months.
Right, and
Which if you're an NFL player,
there
you
goes your
should lie
season.
about being vaccinated, but I can definitely understand
Why
why
you
you
would,
wouldn't
yeah.
want to introduce your body to that.
Right. And Ham has a couple other good points here. It said that she can go into anaphylactic shock over cilantro and cats, but she, instead of getting EpiPen, she just loads up on Benadryl, because it's cheaper in the to have that over an EpiPen, just based off prices of EpiPens. And she also pointed out that over time, with an allergic reaction to a vaccine, it can really fuck you up. Which is true. Which is the dilemma that the people that
Yeah,
have legitimate
you
allergies
should
to,
not introduce your
yeah.
body.
Yeah, so it's just, you've got that large choice to weigh. Do you wanna fight 6 to 8 months of your life with an allergen in your body because you ended up getting mandated basically, or coerced into getting a vaccine so you could leave your house, do work, and live your life? Or do you sit in your house until such time as the government goes, all right, I think we're good. Um, you guys can leave your house now, and the vaccine's not like a mandated thing anymore. Like, who knows how long that's going to take, for Australia based on whatever their government wants to do. So it's a conundrum, and I hope they figure it out, and I hope something happens uh, down there where that things go different for them, and people aren't forced to stay in their homes anymore. Ham was also pointing out that you have to go through shot therapy to build up that immunity. She's done it, and you have to be consistent with it even to maintain the immunity. Small doses of the allergen to get your body to a point where it can get used to it and you not have a bigger allergic reaction. So there's a lot
Yeah.
of things for people, for our Australian brothers and sisters to go through and talk and decide for themselves. And I hope that shortly the government, kind of figures that out for them, and hopefully doesn't continue on with this lockdown for people that aren't vaccinated. So I don't know. I think Alex and I's take on this for them anyway is that this measure that they're doing is not consistent with the amount of cases that they have, and it seems like an overreach and an overexertion.
We've talked about COVID and vaccines a lot on this
It's a hot
podcast,
topic, man.
and our position has not changed since the very beginning. If anything, quite honestly, my position has changed more towards that you should get the vaccine, because Stephen Luther, we've had him on this podcast before. He manages doctors and nurses, and they're tired. They're tired. And so
Yeah,
if you're listening to Fox News and you want to stand up for your right, I mean, yes, you do have the freedom as an American citizen to not be vaccinated. Thank God you have that freedom. But at the same time, if your reasoning is because you think there's a microchip in there and Steve Jobs is trying to track your every movement, we have these little things called cell phones where he's already fucking
yeah.
doing that,
They
brother.
they
I
do
shouldn't say Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is dead. Rest in peace. If you think Apple or Google
yeah.
or Microsoft or whatever, download DuckDuckGo. Remove ad trackers. That's the best way that you can fight them using their data to profit
Yeah,
off it.
and
That's what I do.
turn your location services, which I'm bad about it, but turn your location services off
Whatever.
on your phone, whatever. But like
Turn off.
your cellular device that you keep in your pocket day in and day out does a far better job of tracking your movements and letting whoever wants to know where you are, where you're at. They're not gonna there's no ulterior motive in the vaccine of keeping track of people. That's just not the case.
There's only one ulterior motive behind vaccines, and that's the almighty dollar. When ABC News and Good Morning America and CBS News and MSNBC, you can roll that trailer of sponsored by Pfizer.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only reason why they want everyone to get the vaccine.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
And it is profitable. So whatever.
But yeah.
Moving on. I'm done talking about it for now.
All right.
Sure, we'll talk about it again next week.
I'm more than positive that it'll come up again. So moving on from that, we now have and I'm gonna preface this. I'm not a big fan of this dude, to begin with. But what he's being accused of, basically without proof, is not cool. So Dave Portnoy, for those of you that don't know, Dave Portnoy is one of the founders of Barstool Sports. He was recently in a Business Insider article that accused him of essentially being a rapist, a sexual monster, and a deviant based off of 3 encounters that he had with some women over the years. Um, you know, it was written by let me see if I can find who who wrote this article for Business Insider. So the article was written by a reporter for Business Insider by the name of Julia Black. Um, which this article is apparently 8 months in the making, and it sits behind the website's paywall. So if you want to read this article, you have to pay Business Insider to read it. And in that
Yeah.
article, she claimed that three women allegedly had, sexual relations with Dave Portnoy, which then, again, I'm going to keep saying this, allegedly turned into frightening and humiliating experiences that have taken a toll on their mental health. They were not named. And Dave, to his credit, has also not named any of those individuals. Because he doesn't, he knows and realizes that it's not fair to those women to have those names out there, because somebody somewhere down the line is gonna harass them, and he doesn't want that to happen to them, at all. And just in a way to protect their privacy, which, good on him, and to his credit for doing that. Dave Portnoy has not denied having sex with these women, but in not denying it, he has also provided screenshots of the text messages and social media postings that he claims exonerates him of any of the accusations that have come out from this Business Insider article. I'm not going to get into too much of the details or anything, but basically, throughout the past few years, he's had encounters with, three different women, and they've allegedly, come back and said that, it wasn't a great experience for them, all this other stuff. And Dave is trying, to defend himself and say, that's just not, that's not the case. If they didn't enjoy themselves, it's on them, but I didn't do anything that, wasn't discussed, I guess, or anything like that. He has, stated that every one of those encounters was consensual, and that every one of those women at the time of their encounters were of legal age. And so that's basically just a short synopsis of what Dave Portnoy is dealing with right now.
I'm
Go for it.
1,000% ready to go in on this because I listen to Barstool Sports every day. Especially as of recently in the job that I have, largely I sit behind a desk, which I'm not really used to. And I listen to podcasts almost all day, every day. And one of the many podcasts I listen to, or not one of, a few of the podcasts that I listen to are hosted by Barstool Sports, right? So I'm very familiar with how all of this played out. So how all of this started was Dave Portnoy started receiving messages from girls that he had been intimate with going back 8 months. They were reaching out to those girls and saying, basically trying to get any dirt, like, hey, did he ever, assault you? Were you ever uncomfortable in your sexual, encounters? And all these girls were like, no, everything was completely consensual. And after they got the information from these girls, which was nothing, they would turn around and message Dave Portnoy and say, hey, I don't know what's going on, but Business Insider is looking for shit. And Dave was like, well, okay, but there's really not much to go off of. In fact, you can probably pull up his response, his official response on Twitter.
I think it's in this article that I have. Let me scroll through here. Keep going.
He does these emergency press releases, which his microphone is on top of a water cooler, which I don't know why I think that's so funny, but I think it's fucking hilarious. I don't think Dave Portnoy is the most exemplous person, like if we could frame a Gandhi, I don't think it's Dave Portnoy. But here's the thing about Dave Portnoy is he's going to tell you how it fucking is. And it doesn't matter if you like it or not, that's going to be his take.
Yeah.
That's how it's always been. So basically what happened is they found this girl who DM'd him himself, which she admitted a few of her friends had already DM'd him trying to get him to quote unquote take the bait.
Yeah.
And one of them was finally attractive enough, 19 years old, on Instagram, to where he responded to her. She said something about sick pizza reviews, and he said, God, I can't remember the exact words. My memory's such shit. Um, Thanks, Fly Bitch, because I think her name on Instagram was Fly Bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And so they started talking, they started texting, Instagramming, Snapchatting. Um, they started getting into like intimate conversations. He was apparently sending her videos of him and other girls. Whether that's true or not, I'm not exactly sure. So basically what happened is they finally ended up meeting up and they had sexual relations. It didn't work between the two of them. He realized that very quickly between their first meeting after they had had intimate relations. She slept on the couch.
Yeah. So
He's,
yeah, this is in this article. So
yeah.
I think so. I know you've done a lot. So I think there's you've maybe mushed two women together. I'm thinking. Let me if I go back and read this right.
No, this
No,
is the
no, no.
same
I'm right.
girl.
I read it wrong. You're right.
Yeah, this is the same girl. I
Oh,
trust me.
hold on. No, 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 no. I did read it right. So they didn't name people in this one. So they said the one girl was, trying to, like Alex said, trying to get Dave to take the bait, blah blah blah. He ended up taking the bait with her. This was the 19-year-old in, close to his house up in Nantucket. Um, she eventually messaged him and asked him to have sex, and he agreed. According to these screenshots, the woman claimed she was going to brag to her friends about it. And Dave really didn't, at least according to this, didn't do anything after that happened. She came home to her mother that night, and you know, is alleged that she had depression afterwards, all this other stuff. The mom called the police. The police were on record telling her that they have not had any uh, complaints from any other 18-year-olds at all. And then what you're getting into is I'm not trying to like snipe you or undermine you here.
No, these are
Um,
two different girls. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm talking about the fly bitch, quote
Oh,
unquote.
okay, okay, yeah, I got you. I didn't, I didn't, I guess I
Yeah,
didn't realize you made the transition to those two. Yeah, so the other one is
yeah,
a different name. They hooked up and then they were hanging out afterwards and talking about stuff. And Dave realized very quickly they don't agree on anything. And she slept on the couch, and he, obviously slept in his bed because it was at his house. And and then I think she got butthurt because she didn't like President Trump, former President Trump, and he was about to have an interview with him like 3 days later. So they hooked up three
yeah,
days before that interview. So
yeah. So
sorry, I was
basically,
just
what
trying to clarify
happens?
that for me.
No, no, you're fine. So basically, the gist of all of this is he had sexual relations with women, all of age. He didn't commit any sort of rape.
Yeah,
None of them
like no
ever
crimes were
said,
committed. It was all consensual.
none of them ever said, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't want this to happen, because he has made it clear. And I believe all men of value should make this clear. It doesn't matter how many times the girl has told you yes leading into the encounter. The first time she says, I don't like this, I'm not comfortable, you need to stop what the fuck you're doing and
Yep,
get the fuck out of there, because
100%.
that is not cool. You
Mm-mm.
need to stop. She has made it clear that I don't care if you're like, not to be graphic, but like if you're mid climax, like if she's not comfortable anymore, you need to stop what the fuck you're doing and get the fuck out of there, because it has crossed lines and you're now in a territory that you do not want to be in.
Right.
Morally, first, let me say this, of the high ground, morally way up here, and then legally like somewhere down here. But still, you don't want to be there.
Yeah.
That's not a good space,
Yeah.
because you're not being a good human being if you're making someone do something that they don't want to do.
Right.
It doesn't matter if I've told you I want to buy that watch or that house or those windows in my world 8 times. If I'm in the process of completing the transaction and you say, you know what, the more I think about this, I don't want to do this, you need to get the fuck out of there.
Yep.
And that's that.
Yeah, that's that.
It's done.
You go, all right, that's
It's
fine. Like
done.
I'm good with that. I'm like, you're uncomfortable. That's fine. I'm not gonna press this anymore, and like you're good.
And this lady at Business Insider spent 8 fucking months trying to establish this hit piece. And instead of her taking the moral high ground and saying, you know what, Dave Portnoy actually is completely non at fault here. She continues to publish the hit piece. And then Business Insider, before they release the hit piece, starts reaching out to all of Barstool's sponsors
Yep.
and saying, we're about to release this. I don't know that you want to be involved with a person like
Right, and
this.
Dave tweeted that out. He has a screenshot of an email from a correspondent from Business Insider that they reached out to some sponsors, and Dave in this tweet said, and just to be clear, the guy's name is Patrick Coffey, sent this to everybody and is going to publish who says and who goes. He said it's scare tactics. The Business Insider writes a malicious story with fake facts put behind a paywall, and then write more stories and threaten advertisers. Business Insider 101. And so the screenshot of the email reads, since, and they've blacked out whatever name it is. Since so and so sponsor has partnered with Barstool in the past, I would like to ask whether leadership is aware of this recent story and has put a hyperlink under this recent story to the article about that company's founder, and if so, whether there may have been any discussions regarding those partnerships and or ad placements. So Business Insider went ahead, published the article, put it behind a paywall to monetize it, and then went after Barstool's sponsors in order to try and to tear down Dave and Barstool. And look, I get it. I'm not a big fan of Dave Portnoy. I think he's a huge douche.
And that's fine.
And that's fine, like whatever. And I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Barstool either. But like, I'm not gonna go out of my way for 8 months to try and besmirch somebody just because I don't like him. Well, what's up, Virus? Virus said there's no red meat in a story about a man being a good person.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And if I met someone at a bar, I happen to be a Portnoy fan, right? I don't expect everyone to be a Portnoy fan. I like Barstool. They are douchebags. And I think everyone at Barstool would admit that they are douchebags.
Yeah.
In fact, a large part of their comedic value is shitting on themselves, which I find funny. I don't expect everyone to find it funny, and that's completely fine. But for a credible journalistic outlet to completely falsify information and seek to destroy not only a man's credibility, but his business that he has built from the ground up is fucking dangerous.
Oh, very, for sure.
And the dangerous part about it is Business Insider faces zero consequences.
Right, because Dave
zero fucking consequences.
Dave wants to. He's talked to his lawyers. He said he's come out and said he wants his pound of flesh out of Business Insider, and he was advised by his lawyers. They said, a famous person cannot win this case. And Dave was like, I'm still debating doing this just to drag him through it, just so that he can, see him eye to eye in the courtroom. And he said that it's more important than money. He says, if I lose, I pay their legal fees. If they think I'm done because of that, they don't know the first thing about Dave. And I'll give Dave this. He has grit and he's got the determination that if this goes south, he can build it back up, and recover from it. The main principle is the fact that Business Insider, like you said, as a credible, journalistic company on that reports on business stuff is really just shooting themselves in the foot here.
The dude bet $500,000 on the Packers to cover 3.5 points on the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think $500,000 means shit to him, whether you think that makes him a douchebag or not, I'm not going to get involved.
Yeah.
You make that distinction on your own. But what I can tell you and maybe it's a huge, giant ploy and act he puts on, I 100% in my heart do not believe that. I think that the guy you see on
It's
any
100% the
interview,
guy
on
he is.
any podcast, on whatever. That is who you get.
Yeah.
And if you don't like him, I can't blame you for it. I see why.
And I can
see why.
respect that, him being that way and like not giving a fuck what people think. I can respect that. But
His lawyers begged him not to put out that emergency press conference. His lawyers begged him not to go on Twitter and rebut anything that had been said already. And he said, you know what? I don't fucking care. I have built the business that I have built by being myself and by speaking, quote unquote, I hate the term my truth, but by speaking what I believe and what I know and to believe is right. And you don't have to agree with it.
Yeah.
But when someone tries to come for what I have built and what I have genuinely from the ground up believed in since day one, that would bother, I feel like, any person in the world, in America, in the world. Like, you don't try to collapse someone. And the funniest part about it is he made a comment that not the funniest part, that he made a comment back in, I'm going to get the dates wrong and I'm going to get the official terminology wrong, back in 2018 or something like that, to where he said, I romanticize the old days where you had to pursue a woman and you had to woo a woman and you had to work for it. And now in these days, if I would try to do that, I would, have allegations of rape. He said those exact words like in 2018, and he was fucking ostracized for that by saying, oh, you think you can't woo a woman and go after a new girl. And his exact words were, so instead I'm going to text an old girlfriend and be comfortable with her so I don't get crucified on the main level because I'm in the eye of the public. And he got crucified for saying that. And now fast forward, and the exact fucking thing that he said that they crucified him for back then is now coming true.
Yep.
Like, how does this make any goddamn sense?
Right.
Like, it's so fucking mind-boggling to me. Like, and Business Insider is just gonna face no consequences.
Yeah, they're just gonna get away with putting out a hit piece, and
they're all those people. Like you said earlier, I don't want that to go unrecognized. If that hit piece was so important and so valuable for the American public to know, why the fuck is it hiding behind a paywall? To where you can't read the whole article unless you subscribe to Business Insider.
Yeah, I guess ratings must be low for Business Insider, and they just needed something to try and boost subscriptions. We got
that girl spent 8 months of her life trying to bring down Dave Portnoy, and that's the only goddamn thing she could come up with was some bullshit that she had to publish and pay people and have people pay her to read.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Get the fuck out of here,
it's
dude.
Dumb.
Get the fuck out of here.
We got a couple questions in the chat. So Fire said, number one, his first question is, if this guy was slime, why should his employer get destroyed? And, it's a valuable point.
Well, he's the employer.
Yeah, he's the employer. So in this case, he's the employer. So I mean, as much as people may or may not like him, he's not slime. And his business, and even if it was somebody else that was an employee going through the same thing, like the business shouldn't suffer for the actions of somebody. And the caveat to that is unless the business is actively like supporting the person in their sliminess.
And I can't speak for Dave Portnoy, but I feel like if he was responding to that question, he would say, you can call me slime if you want. You can call my bet slime. You can call Barstool slime. You can call us a bunch of douchebags, a bunch of, airheads, a bunch of whatever you want. But never say that we support or condone any sort of assault or violence or any sort of sexual assault, sexual misconduct against women, because that has been tried and true throughout the entire company, that they support when everyone should be treated equal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter men or women. And in a case like that, again, he's made it clear. If a woman says no, if a man says no, it doesn't matter.
If whoever you're with says
it's
no,
not cool anymore.
yeah.
It's not cool anymore.
His second question is every employer responsible for every horrible thing that humans are capable of? And to that, what I would say, no. They're not responsible for how their employees act. I would say this outside of work. They are, I would say, where they're responsible is when their employees are at work, at their job. So if they're doing these sort of things while on company time, then the employer becomes responsible for stopping it and responding to it and doing something to stop what is happening. But once that person leaves and clocks out for the day, they're on their own time, and an employer can't be held responsible for what they do in their own personal time.
Well, yes and no. It is up to the employer to respond to the conduct of that specific employee, right? So let's just say you and I, Ben, had a platform that was equal to Joe Rogan, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were the biggest podcast in America.
One day.
And fingers crossed, right? That'd be dope. But say we got to that level and then 10 girls reached out to me one day, and I know this would never happen, just to make this clear. But 10 girls reached out to me one day and said, hey, you know what? Actually, I had intimate relationships with Ben, and, we got to the point where we were kind of, thinking about having sexual relations, and he forced himself upon me. And again, I'm not saying that would ever happen, but if that happened and we had built a business together,
yeah,
I would probably say, hey, Ben, you know what? I can't do this with you anymore.
right.
Like, I have to make a moral decision. It doesn't matter what kind of monetary value it costs me. We have to address this before we continue to move forward with this business together. Yeah. So yes, at a certain point in time, you can't employ complete scumbags who are taking care of women.
For sure.
But also within the same realm, all of this is completely untrue. Like,
right, yeah. The giant caveat in this is
unfounded.
That this was as a smut piece.
If this had come out and all of the allegations were true, and Dave Portnoy was
the biggest
sexually taking advantage of women, I would start unsubscribing from all of the Barstool shit that I follow, all of the podcasts, all of the Twitter accounts, everything. I would say I don't want anything to do with them anymore.
Yeah.
Because that morally, their founder is not the kind of person I want to align with.
Yeah.
And if they fired him, but he owns a company, whatever, you can create that scenario however you want. But the whole gist of this situation is that they completely created a hit piece that was completely untrue and have refused to back down on it. In fact, they've doubled down on it with continual pieces that are even more fucking lunatic than anything they put out to begin with. But they're not going to face any sort of repercussion.
Yeah, and that's the
whatsoever.
biggest. That's just like the biggest kicker right there. What's going on, Trev? Welcome to the podcast, brother. And then Fires said that that's like the Steele dossier, which I am not. He said complete BS hit piece that was found to be made up. I'm not versed on the Steele dossier at all. I don't know what that was. But if it's similar to this, then it makes sense.
The Steele dossier pretty much was BS. Yeah. No, I will agree with that. I'm not as well versed in the Steele dossier as I am within this particular piece, because this is, again, something like people that I listen to every day, like, that make me laugh. And if this was something that would be true, quite honestly, it would be somewhat devastating to me, because I would be out a lot of podcasts that I listen to every day that I find real comedic value in, and that's something that I hold true. Like, when I'm in the middle of a stressful day, I love to be able to turn on a Barstool podcast and fucking laugh my ass off because they're talking about anuses. or fucking whatever they're fucking talking about. You know, like
Right.
it's stupid. And I don't expect everyone to find comedy in it, but I particularly do. And to come at the guy who has worked his fucking ass off and yes, has become a millionaire, but yes, he also built it from the fucking ground up.
Yeah.
And for Business Insider to have no sort of downfall, so no sort of repercussions whatsoever to any of this, to where if on the adverse side of this, if it would have caught some steam in cancel culture, which they tried to, would have somehow brought down Barstool, like that's fucked up, man.
Yeah, that's
Like,
super fucked.
you know, like
You know
you
what's
can't take a guy's livelihood because
you don't
you
like
don't
him.
agree with him.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is.
No, for sure. And an interesting thing on cancel culture, I just saw this stat actually right before we started the podcast, is there was a poll done, Jerry News, which you and I both follow on Instagram. Um, there was a poll done, and 69% of Americans believe that cancel culture is unfair and is basically a detriment. And I was like, huh. Would you look at that? Almost the one thing that we almost all of us all agree on is that cancel culture is stupid.
Well, did you know that Dave Chappelle just tried to make a donation to the high school that he graduated from, and they refused his donation because like 65% of the student body identified with LGBTQ plus? I think I got that right.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that negatively.
Right, that's just the facts.
I don't want to shit on that community, but I also want to say at the same time, you're not fucking listening
Yeah,
to
well,
what
and
the
it's
guy
like when
has to say.
because we never came back and touched on this, and I'll do just a quick blurb real fast. Is I went and watched that special, and it was hilarious. I enjoyed it immensely. But when he got to that point of his stand up where he was talking about that and where people were so enraged about, I truly paid attention and listened, and he not once in that special and any of his other specials like shit on that community with intentional malice or anything like that. It was all jokes, and he in that special told a story of one of his friends who was trans and then ended up committing suicide because when she came to the defense of Dave Chappelle, after some jokes he made in a special one time where she goes, "You guys don't know this man. He's not meaning this in a hateful way. It's all for comedy and jokes and it's not meant to be hateful. He's just trying to get us all to laugh together about situations." That community turned on her and just drug her through the mud, and she just ended up getting to a point where she just couldn't deal with it anymore and ended up taking her life. And Dave is really torn up about it. And at the end of his special, he said, he was like, "I'm not making jokes with y'all anymore until I can be certain that we're laughing together," which is it's unfortunate that he had to get to that point. Which Dave does his bits, and it's the same, like the guy or hate the guy. He does, outside of his comedic work, do a lot of work in communities and with projects that he's passionate about, in giving his time and money to things that he believes in.
I know I use this metaphor a lot, and I don't mean to liken my position to the position of someone who does identify as trans, because I know that my lot in life and that person's lot in life are much different and much harder, right? But I feel like it's an accurate analysis in the sense that there's not a whole lot of redheaded people in the world, right? Like let's just look at it from a purely statistical point of view. I'm not LGBTQ. I don't identify as trans, right? But let's just say the redheaded community decided to rise up and take issue with every single person. Let's just say South Park,
Yeah.
right? Let's just say South Park, who created the whole gingers don't have soul narrative. That came from South Park. If you don't believe me, look it up. So let's just say that someone within the redheaded community really took issue with one of the creators of South Park, right? And said, this fucking person, this creator hates redheads. This is why he said that redheads don't have soul, blah, 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 blah. And then another redhead stood up and said, hey, actually, I know this guy. And we've actually been best friends since we've been, early adolescence. And he doesn't really hate redheads. He's just finding comedic value in picking on redheads. In my mind, I would say, okay, he's taking, he's finding a joke within redheads. Does that necessarily feel great to me at a young age? No. But at the same time, do I really think that he hates redheads? No. If I would drag that same person through the mud and throughout that process, drag them so hard that they felt the need to commit suicide, I'd be like, holy shit, we've come full circle to where I thought I was fighting for something that, was justified for my cause, but now I've come full circle to come back to harm my cause.
Right, which Fires made a comment about that a second ago. He's like, cancel culture doesn't become a problem until it becomes a complete circular firing squad. And that's when you just start shooting your own.
The circular fire squad is a great fucking term that I've never heard before, but I like that in the sense that it's a really good term.
It's a good analogy.
Use. It's a good analogy in this sense, to where I know my plot is a lot different from trans people. I'm not trying to compare the two, but at the same time, if I felt akin to that person because we had the same lot in life, and that person ended up taking their own life because of what not my community, our community caused, I feel like I would think, holy shit, we've got this all wrong.
Yeah.
We need to go back to the drawing board, because what we're doing is hurting our community more than it is helping our community. I just took a picture of it today, and I gotta bring it up. Charles Schultz, November 13th, 2003. Charlie walks up to the psychiatric help center that costs 5 cents. And the whole plot before this is Linus gave up his blanket to Snoopy, and Snoopy turned it into a blazer. And the whole thing was because Linus was trying to get rid of his blanket, because it's his emotional support blanket, whatever. Charlie ends up buying Linus a new blanket. And so he walks up to the psychiatrist, which is Lucy, I'm pretty sure, and says, so I bought a new blanket for Linus. I thought I was doing the right thing. She says, I'm not quite sure how I can put this, Charlie Brown, but let me say this. In all of mankind's history, there has never been more damage done than by people who thought they were doing the right thing. 5 cents, please.
Yeah.
And Charlie Brown sighs. And I was like, oh my God. That there's never been more truer words said in our society than that. In all of mankind's history, and this is just from Charles Schultz, this isn't like some great philosopher's quote. In all of mankind's history, there's never been more damage done than by those who thought they were doing quote unquote, the right thing.
Right.
And that's the exact fucking world that we're living in right now. People truly believe that they are fighting the good fight, that they are trying to do the just thing. But in fact, they're causing more damage than they know that they are creating. I truly believe that.
Yeah, it's not wrong. That's big facts.
And it's the same thing with the whole Chappelle thing. If you're a member of the trans community, I support you.
Yeah.
You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Go out and make yourself happy. If you believe that you were born in a woman's or as a woman in a man's body, God bless you. And I don't mean that in like a religious way.
Yeah.
Godspeed. I'm still
It's
saying God.
fine.
Whatever. Just go be yourself and be happy, and let me know how I can help you.
Yeah. Just yeah.
But if you're gonna be offended by everything that the world throws at you, man, you're just
You're
gonna find ways to be pissed
you're
off.
gonna live a
Like,
tough life.
it's gonna be tough for all of us.
Yeah.
You can't wrap yourself up into finding ways to be pissed off. It's just not a positive way to go through life. And if you're looking for things to be pissed about on a day-to-day basis, a minute by minute basis, you're gonna find it, man. You're gonna fucking find it. But if you just accept the fact that not everyone's gonna agree with you on everything, and that we can still all coexist and be happy, and at the end of the day, share a beer together. And you know what? There are going to be fucking ignorant assholes that say, God damn it, if you're a trans person, you're going to go to hell and I can't hang out with you. You know what? Let that person go. They're not worth your time.
They're really not.
They're not worth your energy. Again, using the redheaded metaphor, if someone came up to me and said, oh, God damn it, redheads, this is just the way I was born, bro. Like, I didn't choose.
I didn't
I
choose
didn't
this
come
life.
out of the womb and say, yeah, let's go with redhead.
Yeah, it's not a character
It's-
building
it's-
screen on a video game. You don't get to pick.
I truly believe that when gay people come out of the womb, or people who have later in life found out that they're gay, whatever, whether it's out of the womb or 30 years in or 50 years in or 5 years in, you don't come out to get and choose that box. So let's just all coexist within the same realm, and we don't
Right.
have to be pissed about the ones who are upset about it. Let's revel in the fact that there is a large part of the community who will accept you and love you. And let's just focus on that and not focus on the bullshit,
Right. No, exactly. Virus said that the chilling effect on comedy is the reason dad jokes are gaining prevalence because they're safe. If you hate dad jokes, stop shitting on edgy comedy.
Yeah, well, there's a lot that I could say about that. Shane Gillis got hired by SNL and then almost immediately fired by SNL for some of the shit that he had made jokes about in the past. And that's a whole nother hour topic I could get into. But just focus on the positive, man.
Yeah,
just
really.
focus on the people who love you and who want to be with you for the person that you are. And we'll all be better about it.
Yep. Our last topic for the evening has been in the news a lot for the past couple weeks, but it's the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, which is happening in Kenosha, Wisconsin right now. If you guys A, don't remember, B, don't know, Kyle Rittenhouse was the guy during the BLM protests in Kenosha who shot and killed 2 people and wounded a third during those protests. And he was then subsequently arrested. He is facing 5 different charges right now. He was facing 6, but so he's got 5 that he's on trial for right now. First degree reckless homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. First degree recklessly endangering safety and use of a dangerous weapon. First degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. Attempted first degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. And then the last count, first degree recklessly endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon. The 6th count he was facing was possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under 18. That was dropped by the judge before both sides began their closing arguments. I believe that was yesterday or today. So they dropped that count because it was possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under 18. Apparently the law in Wisconsin is that if you're under the age of 18, you are not allowed to possess a rifle, i.e., in this case, an AR-15. So, as it stands now, Kyle is Kyle and his defense are trying to defend him based on the fact that Wisconsin has a very strong self defense law in place, and they are defending on that ground. The prosecution has the daunting task of trying to turn that over, basically, without reasonable doubt. As the
Ben,
What's up?
can I cut you off for a second?
For
I
sure.
have to pee so fucking bad. It's
Okay.
not even, I'm
Yeah.
literally about to piss my pants. So you can continue. I just didn't want you to think I was just
No, you're
failing
good. Go
on
ahead.
that podcast. I got to pee so bad. I'll
You're
be.
good. Yep. Um, yeah. So within the first few, so as just to give you guys a basic rundown of how trials work, the prosecution calls their witnesses to the stand. They question them and get the story from their witnesses. The defense then has the opportunity to then interview the same people and try and poke holes in the case that the prosecution is building. It's called cross examination. So in doing that, the prosecution called their witnesses, and they gave their testimonies, and then the defense came and went to try and poke holes in it. One of the big things in this case that came out was the fact that the third person that Kyle shot by the name of Gage Grosskreutz. He was the only survivor of the shootings. When he was questioned by the defense, he came out and said that Kyle only reacted to him once Kyle saw Gage's handgun, and Kyle at that moment in time thought that Gage was presenting his firearm in a manner to shoot Kyle, and so Kyle reacted by shooting him, and that was the self defense case that they're building that on. The self defense case is also being built on the accounts of people who watched what happened and video that happened when he shot the other two individuals, Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber. In Rosenbaum's case, the defense has said that he was basically set up in such a way to ambush Kyle, and that dude had run out and grabbed Kyle's firearm, and then Kyle shot him. Anthony Huber, who was the second victim of the shooting, Kyle shot him after he claimed that Huber had kicked him in the face and struck him in the head with his skateboard. So the timeline of events that has been presented now was the fact that Kyle went to Kenosha, Wisconsin, during these protests in order to provide what he says was security for small businesses, first aid to people that needed it, because he was in a cadet EMT program, so he knows some basic first aid, and just to help do what he thought he needed to do over there, because his dad lives in Kenosha, and he went there to do what he thought was right in his mind, which was protect some businesses, and provide first aid to people who needed it. When Joseph Rosenbaum allegedly came out and went like an ambush, Kyle went into what the defense is building on a self-defense mode. Witnesses around saw Kyle shoot this man, and Kyle ran away from that because a mob came after him, and he was running. He tried to run towards police, but the mob, surrounded him. He tripped and fell. The Anthony Huber guy then, used his skateboard. This is to attack Kyle. Then Kyle again defended himself. The third person, Gage, was a part of that mob, and had a handgun out there. And Kyle saw the handgun and felt as though that handgun was pointed directly at him, or was going to be pointed at him, and then reacted in a self-defense manner, which what Gage Grosskreutz basically told the defendants is that he was, we had intent to use his sidearm against Kyle. And when that came out, I watched a video of the prosecution literally putting their heads in their hands, because that just kind of shot their whole prosecution case in the foot. And then Kyle gave his testimony of what he was there to do. And after those three shootings happened, he did run towards police with his hands up, yelling "friendly, friendly, friendly." So right now, the jury is deliberating on what to do, what verdict to pass down. Right now, they are looking at. Here we go. They are trying to. I just lost it. If the charges that he's been charged with stand and the jury rules in that way, then Kyle is facing up to facing life in prison. Based on everything that the defense has said, he is obviously not looking at that, and I am going to try my hardest real quick to skim through this and figure out what's going to happen. Basically, if the jury comes back and rules in favor of self-defense, then there's no case and Kyle can walk free. The only other thing they could, I think, attempt to get him on is a misdemeanor charge,
No, that's thrown
which I
out
think
now.
they ended up throwing out. So at this point, I think it's
That
either
that
life in
was
prison or nothing.
that was the
That was the
what's the
it was a
exact
minor in
word?
possession of a dangerous
Minor
firearm.
input. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, but uh, this whole thing has been a shit show,
It
quite
has.
honestly.
The thing that's going to come from this
And
is that people are going to try and spin this in a racist way,
well,
and
that's
which is just not the case. A, because all three people that Kyle discharged his firearm at were white. So there's, and they'll try and spin it in such a manner that Kyle was there to act out against protesters, which was not the case. That's not what he said he came there to do.
it's it's funny because the entire time that this case is going on, you have the Elijah, what's his last name? I can't think of his last
Let's see
name.
if it's in this other article.
The same case is going on at the same time, where basically the neighbors of the people that were building a house, it's not Elijah McClain, because that's the other black kid that was brutally tortured by the police and had autism and should never have been dead.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's the one
if
over
you,
in
if
Aurora, Colorado, right?
correct, Google search Elijah McClain real quick.
I mean, we talked about that one
And
extensively.
yeah, I know, but here, this is what I'm saying, okay? Because I don't want people to get it twisted when I say that Rittenhouse is going to walk free and he should walk free, because I know that that's going to stir up some people.
Oh, people are going to be mad, but what?
But yeah, no, sorry, go
No, I
ahead.
was gonna
I didn't
say
mean to cut you off.
what the media and the majority of people that are listening to the media are failing to realize is that one person is on trial, and I read this in the couple articles I read. One person is on trial, not society as a whole, from 2021. They're
But
gonna try and use. They want to try and use this to do shit in society, but you can't do that. We have to look at the facts of surrounding this case, and the fact that it's just this kid on trial for what he did, and based on everything that's been presented and how the prosecution at one point basically shot themselves in the foot, because uh one of the prosecutors tried to cross-examining Rittenhouse and commented on Rittenhouse's decision to remain silent, which the judge then tore into that prosecutor, because you can't do that. You're not allowed to comment on the silence of a Miranda-ized defendant, because Kyle has been given his Miranda rights, because he's protected under the Fifth Amendment.
well, but you know what people got the email of the judge and emailed him, under the robes of justice, you wear the robes of the Klan. Those were real words emailed to him because his email got leaked. And that's the first one that I read.
Goodness.
The others go on to like threaten his family and himself.
Yeah.
And like, they're not threatening in the sense where it's like, I'm going to kill you, but it's like, this is going to be your last term.
Yeah.
And like, I pray your kids know the violence that the victims had to suffer. I know I'm getting that last verse wrong, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the exact words that they said. But at the same time, that was the message behind the emails that were being sent to him.
Which is just dumb, because that shows that those people aren't looking at this case and actually watching it and seeing it go down. Because for everything that's been presented through yes, Slump, we are, for everything that's been presented by the defense through the video evidence, and they pulled out a shitload of video evidence from witnesses, from videographers that were there, even FBI drone surveillance that was there. Everything that like happened with Kyle and surrounding that whole thing, it's pretty clear cut that it was self-defense from the get-go.
And the drone thing is something that people who don't agree that Kyle Rittenhouse should be not guilty, and I'm going to go into that in a second, but the drone footage that they pulled up was an iPad image, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I was taking a screenshot of you right now, and I would say, hey, Ben, smile, and you'd smile, and I'd take a clip of that, right? And then I would blow it up, and I would still see you smiling, right?
Yeah.
That's what most of us would agree. But here's the thing about the exact clip that they were using. It was a very small, distorted picture. So it was a legitimate, if you blow that up, shadows can look like things that aren't shadows.
Right.
And actions can look like things that aren't actions. And I'm not saying, listen, I'm not a pixelist expert. I don't know whether it should have been allowed into evidence or not, right? Let me make that very clear. I don't know shit about it. I'm not the judge. I'm not the jury. I'm not the prosecution. I'm not the defendant, right? But it was thrown out in court.
Mm-hmm.
So saying you can't use that image. And then it was re-allowed back in court and said, if the jury finds this to be credible evidence, they can use this as evidence.
Which, Fiverr said that they lost the high-res copy, conveniently lost.
Well, no, that's not true. I'm sorry, that's not true. I'm telling you, I watched the fucking thing from thrown out to where I was like, I can see why that's thrown out, to re-allowed, and I'm like, I don't know. But at least it's up for the jury to decide.
Right.
I put myself in the seat of the jury, and I'm like, okay, I can understand why I'm at least being presented this. Although I personally don't think it's enough evidence to convict someone of murder.
Yeah.
Homicide is a very key piece to use in this whole process also, because this isn't manslaughter.
No.
This is homicide 1.
Mm-hmm.
I had a premeditated notion that I was going to kill someone tonight. This exact person.
Yeah, which is like, according, to Kyle and everything that's been presented, he did not go there with the intent to kill people. So, trying to try him for homicide is I don't. It's to me, it seems a stretch, because he didn't go there with the intention to murder anyone.
So do you know why the prosecution got into trouble the first time? Why the judge yelled at him?
Well, it said here is because one of them commented on Kyle's silence, which they're not allowed to do. You might have been in the bathroom for that.
And it wasn't even on the silence so much as it was a previous comment that he had made when he was in the car with friends and sitting in the back seat of a car, and they were driving past a group of protesters in the previous city that he lived in. I'm pretty sure it might have been in the same city. I don't know. That's really not that important. But they claim that he said, "Man, I wish I had my AR right now." And so they were trying to bring that into evidence, into support of the fact that he would have used his AR to commit the crimes he did in Kenosha that night.
But that has no bearing on what happened that night.
And so that's exactly what the judge said. The judge said, there's really no, if he would have showed up and started shooting at people, we could say, well, hey, yeah, pretty clear example that the kid showed up and was looking for trouble and started opening fire. Like, that's the perfect evidence, but instead there's lots of evidence and video footage of him running around that night. And let me also say this, because I know I'm walking into a trap here. I don't think he should have been there.
No.
He should have fucking stayed home.
No, 100%. At that point, 17-year-old kid decided to go to the town where his dad lives and just be out and about, under, according to him, wanting to provide, first aid if he could, and protection, that other stuff. It's like, dog, there was police and other emergency services there to do that. Like, this wasn't your place.
And to admit to the fact that they were completely understaffed and that there were not enough medics and there were not enough police officers in the city to do their job. That gives no credibility to a 17-year-old to put a fucking medic bag on one hip and an AR on the other hip and go to a place where there's fucking riots and try to be an EMT.
Yeah, well, he tried to be an EMT slash cop at the same, like.
So yeah, exactly. So let me make this perfectly clear. I believe that he had no fucking right to be there that night. I agree with that 1,000%. But in the current case that we're looking at,
you're looking strictly at the context of where we're at with the case.
And if you want to be mad at anyone, I'm telling you to be mad at the prosecution, because I wish the prosecution did a better job. I don't even wish that. I'm just saying, if they would have done a better job, I would 1,000% be on the side of the prosecution. He should go to jail. If they could have proved what they were claiming he did is exactly what they did, I'd be on their side. But they did a shitty fucking job, dude.
Yeah.
They how does the prosecution at one point in time facepalm?
Literally just go, damn it.
Because you know why, Ben?
Because the defense cross-examined the survivor, and the guy was like, yeah, I pointed my gun at him. And then he was like, damn it.
He told the police, and this is what he testified to until he got on the stand, that he did not use his gun until a gun was pointed at him. And I believe that I don't know this for 100%. Sorry if this is wrong, but I don't think that's right. I was going to say I thought he thought the gun was not loaded, but
I haven't heard anything about that.
There was another tidbit in there that I was like, well, yeah, he definitely should. He said he only dropped the gun, or he dropped the gun before he got shot. That was the other thing. And when they pulled up the picture, he even said to the state and said, well, you told me to change my testimony. And they were like, we didn't tell you to change your testimony. It's like, well, that's what I thought you meant. Like, he cooked the whole thing, dude.
Yeah.
Because if you have perfect self-defense which I think is what they're going to find in this case.
Mhm.
Again, I don't think that he's completely absolvent
He's
of
not
his
absolved of
sins,
what he did because he shouldn't have been there in the first place. But looking strictly
but
at the context of what the prosecution is
just in
bringing,
the eyes of the court, he's going to fucking walk, dude.
yeah,
He's
because
going to walk.
everything that's been presented shows, like, because it's like, and this is probably not a great example, but to kind of dumb it down a little bit, it's the same as if you're trying to overturn an interception or a touchdown in football. So when they go to do the video review of that, you have to have undisputable evidence that what the ruling on the field was not correct. And that's what the prosecution was up against in this case, is they had to present a case that showed undisputable evidence that Kyle went there and intentionally, because they're trying to pin him with 5 counts of homicide. Um, they have to prove without a shadow of doubt that that's what Kyle was there for, and their witness shot that in the foot, and they themselves shot themselves in the foot on that because their argument fell flat on its face. Is the defense put together a really well-rounded defense showing that Kyle was there and acted in a manner of self-defense after he was in the first place attacked by this one guy who, from what I saw, was like the defense was saying he was crouched hiding behind a car, like waiting for Kyle to walk his direction or get close enough to where he could run at him and
No, man, that's not what it shows.
well, that's just
Anyway,
what I saw through the few
no, yeah,
snippets that I was able to get through while I was at work and stuff.
yeah, never mind. I was reading the comment of D-Man on there.
Oh my. Yeah, Fires, that's a better way to put it. He had you have a right to be wherever you want to be as an American, but it was not a good choice on his part to be there.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah, he had a right.
And
It is your right to go where you want to, but he made a poor choice that evening in going and trying to act as security / EMT as a 17-year-old kid with barely any credentials to be there. He had stated that he was the college stated that he was a certified EMT, which it was proven later that he was just a cadet EMT, which he, at that point had only had basic first aid knowledge.
speaking of D-Man, it reminds me of a time when we were playing a rival basketball team that I knew wanted to kick the shit out of Danny, who is the commenter in our sections. And the entire time they were talking shit to him, and we actually got beat by them and we're leaving. And next thing I know, Danny's in a mix-up with the rival team, and then we get surrounded pretty quick. And then luckily one of our friends from that school came and bailed us out and we got the fuck out of there. But, and not to say that that's the same as showing up to a riot, because that's obviously very different things. Right. But it's one thing to show up to a situation where you know that there could be volatility, but you have just the same right that they do to be there.
Right.
The difference is you have an AK-47 or an AR-15. Sorry,
yeah. The difference is he showed up with more than just a basic first aid kit.
And you can fault him again all you want for being at a bad place and
wrong place, wrong time.
Stayed home. Yeah, and you chose to be there. I get that. I get all of that. And I'm not saying that there should be zero fault in that. But what I'm saying is what it's come down to is the act of self-defense.
Right. So,
and I truly believe with every fight, well, not with every, if there was some new evidence that came out, tomorrow, but we're past that.
Yeah, the closing arguments have happened. The jury is deliberating.
With what the jury has to decide on, if I was a part of the jury, I would have to decide on that he was acting in self-defense. Right. I'm sorry. That's what I would have to.
That's what you should decide on, because that's what's been presented to you. You can't bring in the fact that should he or should he have not been there, what he said before this incident happened, what was said after. It's just in that timestamp of when when he shot the first guy and when he shot the last guy, and then like turned himself into the police after that. Like, that's your time period you have to look at, and that's what the case is focusing on. And
And that
looking
was
just
like a
at,
matter of like 5.5
yeah, it
minutes.
all happened very quickly. So in that fight, that's what you have to make your judgment on, is what happened in that 5.5 minutes. And what, based on what everything that's been presented, what happened in that 5.5 minutes was Kyle acted in self defense, and he does not need to be charged with homicide.
Dude, I know people are going to disagree with me,
Oh yeah,
and I don't not welcome it, but at the same time, I've just watched the entire trial pretty much, and that's just what I genuinely in my heart believe.
no. If I was on the jury, and based on everything that I've seen and researched on this, I would say that he acted in self defense.
And if the prosecution got to start all over again, I very well may change my mind based on the evidence that was presented. But in the evidence presented in this case, I would welcome anyone to bring any sort of evidence that I might have missed, or maybe I was working and I missed this
Yeah,
part of the whole presentation. I would love it, but I just don't think that the kid's guilty, man. I just don't.
yeah.
And I shouldn't even say the kid's guilty. I should say the guy that is in this situation, I don't think that he's guilty
He's
on the presented charges.
he's not. Yeah, he's not guilty of the charges and the counts that have been brought against him.
No, I don't care if he's a kid. I don't care if he's 17 or he's fucking 78. I really don't care. I'm just telling you, I don't think that you can charge him of homicide.
No, you
But
can't. And
we're still waiting for the jury right now.
Yeah.
Though, so you never know.
Yeah. Fire said, and this is going to go both ways. Fire said that will there be riots if he walks? Sure, why not? People riot for championships. And there'll be riots if he doesn't walk as well, because of people saying that he acted in self defense. But it's, yeah.
I'll tell you right now that if he doesn't walk and if he does go to jail, well, it depends on what the counts are, I suppose. But let's say he gets committed to first-degree homicide, there will be no riots. But if he walks,
for sure.
I don't even want to say that there's going to be riots if he does walk. There's
People
really
are
not
just
that
going to
many.
be outside of the courthouse, pissed and yelling.
There's really not that many people at the courthouse right now.
That's true.
Like, Jacob Blake's uncle, I'm pretty sure it's his uncle, is down there, which is very interesting behind the entire facts of Jacob Blake. But there's really not that big of a presence right now. Tomorrow that could completely change. I don't know, but yeah. I hope that there's not riots.
I hope so as well. But at the end of the day, based on what I've seen and been presented, and what is happening specifically just in this trial, what they're looking at, I am gonna say it's self-defense, and he is going to walk. And I'm not gonna say that that's a wrong verdict on that one. I think that would be the correct verdict.
I think so too.
Just because he's a 17-year-old kid. He didn't go there with the intention to shoot anybody, and in my mind reacted once, basically provoked, and he feared for his life. So,
and he shot 3 white people.
Yeah, like
he what if you truly want to be looking at a case for justification right now, it should be the other one that we were talking about earlier.
Elijah,
what's his last
McLean?
name? No, not McLean. Well, that one too.
But I don't know. I don't know what the other one is.
The one that's going on also right now.
Let me see if I can.
Alongside of the Rittenhouse case.
Mitchell? Elijah Mitchell?
Elijah Mitchell, yes. Shit, I'm Really sorry.
Wait,
But
hold
yeah,
on. That's a 49ers dude. Is there another one? It's not Mitchell. God dang it.
in Galway. Um,
Let me see if I can.
what's Google search like Rittenhouse case, and there's another one like Court TV is covering right now. It's the kid who is on the property of a house that was being built, and then these three fucking
Oh,
white
yeah. Okay.
douchebags
Yeah. I know what you're
chase
talking
him
about. I can't
down.
remember.
Yeah, find that case.
Oh,
I can't think of
shoot.
the
It's
guy's name right now.
Elijah Aubrey. Is that right?
Yeah,
Or is it just
Aubrey.
Aubrey?
I think it's Ahmed Aubrey.
Ahmed
I
Aubrey.
don't
That's right. I don't know.
know.
Yeah. Ahmed uh, Aubrey. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
sound like such a douchebag right now. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right here. Yeah. It's Ahmud
Okay.
Aubrey shooting. Yeah.
No,
That dude was just like
no, it's Ahmed.
Ahmed. Well, this one has it as Ahmaud. So maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Okay.
Um.
Anyway, if people want to be talking about a case where racists are probably going to go to jail, like they should go to jail, this is a good one to look at because these fuckers are pretty much cooked,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
Because
good.
they literally
They
just
should go to
chased this
jail
dude down and murdered him in cold
and
blood for
killed him.
no reason.
No, they cornered him.
Yeah,
They
they
didn't
drove, they
even.
chased him around in a truck, pulled the truck in front of him, and hopped out.
Yeah, and then he was still trying to like get away from him. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, and then they fucking shot him.
Yeah.
And this is a case where, it's pretty much like, hey, I think because there was video footage of another white couple walking on to the same property, which they're pretty sure those were the ones who were stealing whatever they were stealing from the unbuilt property. Apparently they were storing some like boats and stuff there or something. I don't know. But there was property being stolen from this unbuilt house essentially. And so instead of like looking at the white couple that was showing up there at like midnight for no reason, they saw a younger black kid showing up on the property who was like just out for a jog. Like
Yeah.
there's no evidence that he stole anything from that property. And so a couple of neighbors saw and were like, oh, that must be the black kid that's stealing from that property, which was completely unfounded. And then they track him down and they fucking kill him. Like, yeah, those people should go to jail, probably. And they are, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the prosecution's doing a pretty good job on that one.
Yeah.
But on Rittenhouse, I mean, I just don't understand why it's not being covered as equally. Like, hey, there's justification being had on this side, and you might not love what the prosecution's doing on this side, but it seems like a way for us to divide everyone and say, if you think Rittenhouse is, not guilty, you're basically a racist.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's not. No, don't say
yeah,
that.
you can't say
because
that.
that's not true.
Which that goes
I'm
back to
not
what I
racist,
said earlier,
bro.
where they're trying to put it's just one man on trial, not society. You can't try society, which is what some people are really pushing for.
Twitter is the judge and the jury.
Yeah, apparently. But yeah, so anyway, that's all that. And
How long have we been going? I can't even see.
$1:45.
$1:45. Damn.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty much the be all and end all on that whole pretty much everything we've covered, tonight, chat. So this is normally the time of the podcast where we go and we turn it over to you guys for you guys' final thoughts, and if you have something else that you want us to give a quick little blurb about, or put a thumbtack in for next week, now is your chance. While you guys think of some stuff and type some stuff out, I just want to say, thank you again for y'all for showing up on an off day, on a Tuesday. We really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us and listening to us talk and give our takes on what's going on on some major headlines that are happening right now. We really do appreciate all the support. I know it's not our typical day. We will be back, barring any other craziness, this Sunday, and we'll take a look at probably again at whatever the jury comes out and decides on the Rittenhouse case, and
Yeah.
what other big headlines pop up during the rest of the week. But yep, if y'all don't have anything else for us, which have we covered the most important story? What story is that, Virus?
The anticipation is killing me
I
right
am
now.
in suspense at this moment.
I have a feeling it's going to be
Biden's
the
flatulence in
Joker.
the EU. Oh, wait, hold on. Like
Oh,
an actual flatulence.
yeah, dude. He
My man
farted.
farted.
Well, that's what the royal family is claiming anyway. I don't know.
Royal family claims that Sleepy Joe busted ass.
Biden is just living in his own little world. If we're gonna, while you look that up, I'm gonna look up
What the hell?
something
This is
else real
brand new
quick
to me. LOL.
because this is funny. There are two different things, but
Uh,
this was also really funny to me.
was it during what the fuck? Did Joe Biden fart all over the? Oh no.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Did Biden let out a long, loud fart while speaking with the Duchess of Cornwall at the COP26 summit? Oh no.
Yeah, you're on the
This is
right
from
track, brother.
townhall.com, so I don't really know how credible this website is, but all over the place in front of a British royal. Oh
You haven't
no.
heard about this at
No, I haven't
all?
seen it at
You haven't heard
all.
about Biden? Bro, you need to listen to more podcasts, bro.
I do apparently. I need to
Yeah.
listen to those at work while I'm not doing anything. Oh my god. Okay, so President Biden let out a long, loud fart while speaking with the Duchess of Cornwall at the COP26 summit. Camilla Parker Bowles hasn't stopped talking about the 78-year-old's long fart. It has been reported. The pair were making small talk at a global climate change gathering in Scotland last week when the president broke wind, according to an informed source who spoke to the Mail on Sunday. It was a long and loud and impossible to ignore. Camilla hasn't stopped talking about it. Biden met the Duchess during a reception on Monday at the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery, attended by Prince Charles, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Oh no.
Dude, old guys fart, bro. Old guys fart. I mean, that's true.
Oh no.
I would
I mean,
say
that is
some things
true.
about old men farting, but I don't want to insult any of the old men that I would be talking about. So
Is this the you during interview? And oh, what's this? 13 minutes.
But the first thing we
Oh, that's another podcast. I'm not gonna watch that.
last thing, I'm gonna play this clip for you
All right.
of old Joe Biden. Most recently, this is one of his most recent interviews. You ready?
Yeah, you just wanna. Well, never mind. Go ahead.
Hold on. I gotta start it up.
I've adopted the attitude of the great Negro at the time, pitcher in the Negro Leagues, went on to become a great pitcher in the pros, in the Major League Baseball, up to Jackie Robinson. His name was Satchel Paige. I've adopted the attitude of the great Negro at the time, pitcher in the Negro Leagues, went on to become a great pitcher in the pros, in the Major League Baseball, up to Jackie Robinson. His name was Satchel Paige.
Oh, you're talking about Satchel Paige.
Oh my God, Joe.
Oh, so you mentioned the Negro Leagues to talk about, and you called them a Negro, by the way, which is a hate crime.
You can't.
You cannot call a black person a Negro.
You can't say that, Joe.
And I mean that in just, I'm speaking. I would never say that term
This is just in
all
this
I'm
is
saying
just
is you cannot say that because that's not a nice thing to say.
you don't.
So if you're going to talk about Satchel Paige, maybe just
just
refer
say
to him
Satchel
as
Paige.
Satchel Paige.
And
Yeah.
if you don't know who Satchel Paige is, you can go and look it up later.
I know in baseball history that he started in the Negro Leagues, but we don't need that. Just say, hey, you know what Satchel
You don't
Paige
need to
used
say that
Like-
in describing him, and then B again for the lead. Oh, Joe.
Yeah, he's struggling, bro.
Oh,
I
no.
mean,
It's getting worse.
I know when like Joe Rogan started saying like Joe Biden's slipping, I was like, I feel like maybe he's leaning a little right. And then I started paying more attention. I'm like, dude, he's fucking right. Like he's declining quickly.
Yeah, very.
And I'm not saying that because
this is not just because like we're
This
on
is
one
not
side
political.
of the aisle or the other. This is just Joe Biden is deteriorating mentally.
you know who I'm voting for is Spike Cohen.
Yeah, if he runs, for sure.
That's who I'm voting for. That's my official political stance.
Yeah.
Is Spike Cohen.
Fires, yeah,
Anyway.
you're right. You can mention it. The name of the league is yeah, that's fine because that's that's what it was called. But when referring to Satchel Paige himself as that,
Yeah,
that's not good. It's
not
terrible
too-
on
it's not great.
so many levels.
It's not great.
Lord have mercy. Somebody needs to come get their grandpa.
Anyway, let's go play some Call of Duty.
Anyway.
Play some Call of Duty.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty decent idea for a little while.
Cold War sounds great.
Anyways, we appreciate you guys. We're gonna end it on that just train wreck of a press conference.
I mean, if the commenters have more, they can get more, but I feel like they're out of it.
Yeah.
Well, not out of it, just they've had enough.
Yeah. But yeah, once again, y'all, we appreciate it very much. We will be back again on Sunday. I will get this podcast thrown up on YouTube later on this week, probably as a little teaser. Well, not teaser, but just a little pre-gamer for Sunday's episode in case whoever missed it live gets a chance to watch it. For our YouTube people, appreciate all the support you guys are still giving us on the channel over there. You guys rock. Continue to do that. As always, like, subscribe. It's free and it helps us out. Smash
that subscribe button, brother. Smash it. Come on.
But yeah, you'll find us
Like,
same
comment,
name.
subscribe. Come on, bro.
Same name on YouTube. What in the World podcast. But anyway, until next week, you guys. Y'all have a good rest of the week. Have a good rest of your work week. Have a safe week. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others. And we will see you guys back here Sunday night at 6 Central.
I was just gonna say, I love you all. I love you all.
We love you guys.
That's all I was gonna say. I was gonna casually slip it in there at the end, and then you call me out.
Well, you kind of you got real close to the camera, and I was like,
no, just keep sending it. Just keep sending it. Do it again.
No, we're not doing it again.
Do it again. Yeah,
no,
do it again.
Not doing it again.
Do it again.
All right,
yeah, do it again.
We'll see you guys.
Come on.
Next week on Sunday, same place, same time. All right.
Love you guys.
Love y'all. Bye.